let's go ahead and wrap it up. Let's go ahead and dead that conversation about, oh, if you move out, you're never gonna get married. Have that for another day because I'm not having it. Hi guys! It is so lovely to see you. I've genuinely missed you. It's been a minute. It's definitely been a minute since I sat and chatted with you guys, but the last thing you saw from me was our Japan vlog, and I honestly feel like I just caught up on life since coming back, even though it's been over a month. To be fair, I was jet lagged for like 2 to 3 business weeks because I am not used to. That was the biggest time difference I ever experienced in my life. 14 hours in advance, kind of insane. And going to the trip, I was getting over a sinus infection, and then when we got there, we were tired, we were jet lagged, but we pushed through everything because we wanted to make the most of our days. So it really was us just like getting through it all, avoiding rest, and then resting when we got back. So that meant a lot of rest. But alhamdulillah, it was a beautiful trip. I don't want to be one of those girls that talks about Japan in every single conversation. So for today's video, we are going to be chatting about 3 years post move out. I've actually just passed my 3-year anniversary because I moved out on my own in May of 2021, literally the same week that I graduated university. So I can't believe we're here. I don't know if I even imagined that I'd be here the time that I did move out. And I also know that I would have loved to hear chats about this when I was making the decision. And so this is kind of like a reflection. It's a letter to the younger me. It's also me chit-chatting and answering your questions because I know my previous move out video left a lot of you guys with all your questions below, and I know a lot of girls are where I was because moving out is scary, but also being a Muslim, being a West African, and being an eldest daughter is like a whole triple combo on its own, and it's a very niche and unique experience that I know only some girls can relate to. So it's always nice that someone you can relate to actually chats about it. So I hope you guys find this video helpful. I hope you enjoy. I have my notes here, so you'll probably see a reflection on my glasses, but this is absolutely necessary because if not, I will chat, I will ramble all around the world and back, and I won't have any system to this. And I want to make sure I'm staying on track and I'm not just rambling. So the very first order of business is the adjustment period. I want to take myself back. I want to close my eyes. I want to remember the day that I moved out or moved in. The day that I wouldn't say fell into this decision, but every single step of the way, I had no clue what I was doing. I just knew that I was certain that this decision was for me. It's so crazy thinking back at that time because how can someone be so lost, so confused, have no idea what they're doing, but know that something is for them and know that this was the next chapter in my life? And it was terrifying. Obviously, not everyone's excited for you to just move out, but it was a really big and scary decision. And I remember the day that I walked into my apartment, like, oh, okay, well, I guess I did it. And I guess I did it because I had no idea that I had a first last month security deposit to pay. That caught me off guard. I gave them everything I had, so I was 10 times more scared because I was like, wait, I have to pay them rent every single month. Like, wait, like this never ends. Like I have to keep making those funds happen. How am I gonna make this work? And I remember walking in here and saying to myself, like, none of this feels like mine. And that was a terrifying feeling because the whole point of me moving out is because I genuinely wanted a home and a space that felt like mine, and I didn't want to unpack my bags. I didn't feel secure because I was like, well, how am I gonna cough it up every single month? Like, and I honestly don't know how I kept going every single day. I don't know how at some point we actually started furnishing and somehow we actually started paying rent each month, and somehow this just became the norm. I don't know how we went from that level of fear and uncertainty to this. It was one of those moments where it was like, I didn't come this far, just come this far. But I will say it is very, very terrifying not just wanting to do this, not just going through the process, but once you actually do make it, it takes a while to actually adjust and be like, wait, this is me, this is mine. And one thing I want to say to the Katie 3 years ago who was incredibly terrified but handled it all so flawlessly, I want to tell her that I am so incredibly proud of her, and that there are generations of women who could only dream of having this level of independence and freedom, and it is such a blessing that I could achieve it. And I can only thank Allah, honestly, because it wouldn't have been possible without him. And that every single mistake at the time, even though it seemed like the biggest mistake in the world, like I wouldn't say mistakes, but it's like I obviously wasn't that familiar with the rental process, and I kept failing at the information that they wanted, and I had no idea that I could just use my business, which was making more than enough to prove things. So I had this one apartment fall through, and I was very heartbroken about it. Like I literally remember crying in the rain. I was hard, like I was up. I still think about that apartment. I literally remember visiting it. I walked the neighborhoods. I familiarized myself with the trees. I said hello to the runners, and I was like, yeah, this is it. And it wasn't it. But you know what's crazy? I look back and I think to myself, the ups and downs that I have faced, the rough periods that I have faced, honestly, I don't think I would have lasted that long at that apartment if I got it. You planned it, Allah plans. And another thing I'll say is I do wish I documented more during that very scary time, because I felt this sense of shame and guilt of moving out, because unfortunately, if you're a woman and you move out on your own, culture has this conception that you're only moving out for nefarious reasons. You'd only be moving out for the worst reasons. There's no way you're moving out for your own benefit. Like, there's no way you're moving out for anything besides the worst intentions. So I sort of felt like I had to not hide it, but I felt like I couldn't be proud about it. I couldn't really celebrate it when it's such a massive deal. And to be fair, I did kind of document it. I mean, not like how I would have, like via YouTube, but I do have pictures that I love to look back on of like when I got my first bed, when I got my couple pieces. Honestly, alhamdulillah, this place has been through a lot of changes. And even if I say I didn't document the early days enough, at least now for the future, inshallah, all of these things are parts of the journey. All of these things are parts of me. Yeah, that's all I can say. But the adjustment period, just know that even when you make it, you're still terrified. You just have to push through, and honestly, just know that Allah's gonna take care of it, because I genuinely had no idea how I was gonna make it work. I just knew that I had to be here and that it was time for me to be here. And the reality is, change is terrifying. It is so terrifying. But if you want to see results, you have to take that first step. Now, a term that I've heard a lot via TikTok, which honestly, oh wait, this mic actually does help. Like, I'm not like, this mic actually, I feel so luxe. Okay, let me stop. A term that I've heard floating around TikTok a lot is eldest daughter guilt, which is something they ate with that one. I definitely understand it. It shows up in multiple ways. And the reality is, especially in African cultures, your value, or sometimes women feel their value comes from their level of selflessness or how much they can sacrifice. It doesn't matter how tired you are. It doesn't matter how deteriorating it is to sacrifice everything. That is how you show love. And that is how you show value, by sacrificing everything. But in reality, I think the greatest love that anyone can give to the people they love around them is showing up as the best version of themselves, as the healthiest and happiest version of themselves. And how do you do that? By actually putting yourself first, by actually taking care of your needs. People don't realize that you need a level of both selfishness and selflessness, because if you are incredibly selfless and give your all, inevitably it turns into bitterness. And if you're just that iconic that you can never grow bitter from giving your all, at some point it eats away at you. And the thing is, people that love you, they want to see you thrive. They want to see you happy. They want to see you enjoying life. They don't love you because you're sacrificing for them. They want you to have the world. But we're tying this back to eldest daughter guilt. Those are the thoughts that I had to remind myself, because you are going to feel eldest daughter guilt. Of course, I felt like I was just leaving my family behind, moving out on my own instead of being there every single day. I had to come to terms with reality very quickly, because leading up to graduation, I made a deadline with myself that when I graduated university, I was moving out. And I had no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I knew that that was my next step. I knew that that was the decision that I had made for myself, especially because, one, the version of me that existed when I was at school thrives. It's like a completely different version. And I can't lie and say that like I haven't always been ambitious. I haven't always had like a to-do list and things to do. I always have. But when I was on campus, I was like a next level go-getter. I truly felt unstoppable. I was always on the move. I always had things to do. I always had a to-do list. My checklists were completed flawlessly without interruption. I could just up and go and just be on the move and do things that I needed to do. And there were no external circumstances that ever felt like it was throwing me off or stopping me in any sort of way. I also was in the Westchester town, so I felt incredibly safe. I loved being outside. I loved walking. I was a completely different version of myself versus when I had moved back home. Although I obviously love my family and I love being around them. I mean, let's be real. Eldest daughter, though, we all be arguing. me and them little kids, we beefing. But that wasn't a reason for me to move out. I just didn't like the version of myself that existed back in my childhood bedroom. And I know a lot of people can relate to this, because it's like you kind of feel like you've reversed to the past. Two, you feel a little bit more stuck and I wasn't as excited to up and just go do things. And I definitely wasn't doing a lot of the things that I enjoyed doing on my campus. So part of me was like, I'm not leaving Westchester. Like, I'm going to find an apartment in Westchester. I just liked the version of myself that I was when I had my solitude and when I had my hyper independence, because I felt unstoppable and I didn't feel glued to my bed or stuck in my room. One of the reasons why, like, I remember specifically saying, like, Allah, like, you know this is good for me, or if you know this is good for me, make it easy. My iman increases in solitude. Everyone has their thing. Me personally, my relationship with Allah is strengthened when I'm alone. I cannot have any distractions, any external anything, because, like, first of all, even when I'm at the masjid, I can't shut up. I can't stop. Like, it's unfortunate, but it's like I also noticed that my iman was far greater when I was a college student on campus than when I was at home. And it's crazy because I obviously grew up in an Islamic household full of religion, but I would make excuses. Like, I was so busy doing this, cleaning, or doing whatever, or like I had to go out to do this and I just got home and it's like, oh, it's already time to pray. Like, I found myself not having a reason or having too many things happening in my brain to actually sit there and want to connect with Allah or have conversations with Allah. And for some reason, I can't describe it. I was on campus. I've noticed a transformation happening while I was at college, especially my senior year. I noticed myself wanting to wear abayas more. I noticed myself hanging out with my friends and leaving in the middle of leaving campus in the middle of an event and like, oh, I'm gonna go to my dorm and pray and then I'll come right back. And I never did that before. I'm not even gonna say it's the environment. I'm not even gonna say it's the home versus a dorm. No, it's not the dorm that made me do it more. I think it was that level of independence, one paired with solitude, being able to be in my thoughts, being able to actually spend time with myself, and spending time with myself also wanting to learn more about my religion. You can grow up Muslim, but everyone has to find Islam for themselves. And I didn't get a chance to really find it for myself until I had independence and solitude. Because if I didn't have that, I was distracted by everything else. What's the point? I'm just gonna follow the herd. It's time to pray. I'm just gonna go pray with everyone else. And I'm already doing it, so why do I need to take the time to learn for myself? When I noticed that, I was like, no, like, I need to move out. I'm a different person. And it wasn't one decision. There's so many factors. It's so crazy because I know everyone has different reasons why they move out. I know people have traumatic experiences. People have a lot of reasons. And alhamdulillah, none of that I can relate to because, again, I love my family dearly. I always will. And I do think that if you decide to move out, you should make sure you're keeping your family ties because, like, that's frowned upon in Islam anyways. Just the person that I was, just developing into the adult version of myself, I started to realize what makes my world tick, what makes my world go around. And I'm also not a person that really gets lonely. Again, I don't like to say lonely. I say solitude because I thrive in solitude. My thoughts are better. My creativity is off the charts. That was one of the factors. I noticed my want to learn more about my religion increased when I was by myself, and noticed my habits were better. You can't make excuses when you're by yourself as well because you're in control of everything. I can't be like, oh, like, this thing was ruined, this thing was messed up, or like, this person is the reason why I didn't wake up today, this person is the reason why I didn't go do those chores today. There's no excuses when you're by yourself. And that level of independence, I'm sorry, it's like drugs to me. I think I'm obsessed with independence. I'm obsessed with it. So the decision was going to come sooner or later. My dream wasn't to move out. My dream was to buy us a family home and to afford it so that we'd all have a space for every single one of us because, again, big family. And I had to come to terms with reality very quickly when I was stressed out, pulling my hairs out, crying every single day. And I was like, girl, wait, you're a 21-year-old about to graduate university. There's no way you're gonna go buy like a 10-bedroom house but today. Like, get real. I had to get very real with myself. So yeah, all of that is like a combination of like why it makes sense that I moved out now, also my thought process back then, and honestly, alhamdulillah, this is why we have notes, because without her, I am going to just ramble. When you choose selfishness over sacrifice, it literally feels like a jab. Like, it just feels like you've done harm in the world. But in reality, I don't think I would have become the person I am today if I hadn't made that major step. I think I would have still been a grumpy older sister. I think I would have been stressed out and I would have been taking my anger out on everyone, and I would have been obsessing over everyone else's life, and I wouldn't have figured out who I am. Alhamdulillah, I am thankful for it. Honestly, the eldest daughter guilt never really goes away. It shows up here and there when you're experiencing life, when you're experiencing moments that you want your whole family to experience with you. But I remind myself, my end goal, I remind myself myself of my drive, my biggest drive being to change myself and my entire family's circumstances, and obviously to build generational wealth, while of course keeping my religion above all. We'll all make it there one day, inshallah. But for now, this was definitely a key step that I'm glad I took, because it allowed me to show up as a much better person in the world. A lot of the times, I can't lie, like obviously other things stress me out. Stress is never gonna stop. It's never gonna just disappear, go away. Especially now that I'm adulting, taking care of my own bills. Oh yeah, baby, the stress is still there. But you pick your stress. And for me, the level of sanctuary, oh baby, I don't know what I'm saying right now. The level of calm and the ability to have a place that feels like a safe haven is certainly worth it. A friend said to me, Katie, since the day I've met you, you've been looking for a home. And I think that's so hilarious, because everyone has their thing. But I always say, like, I never had like a teen girl phase. I never had like teen drama, boys. I've never been to a concert, none of that stuff. Baby, my whole life has been me being locked in, wanting to like buy my family a house, change our lives. That's always been my goal. Like, I don't know what it's like to experience that teen girl era outside of just practicing makeup. Honestly, alhamdulillah, kept me on the right track, and it kept my brain where it needed to be. Moving out on my own, instead of magically having us all moving to like a family villa or compound, kind of felt like I was like separating. But I just had to remind myself, when that guilt does show up, because of course it always will, that there's a much greater picture, and I haven't forgotten my goals, and I haven't forgotten the life that I want to build for us all. So it's just a step for now to keep me sane. Let's move on to the next step, because we've been chatting for a bit. I want to talk about some misconceptions that we hear. One of them being, once you taste the piece of living alone, you'll never get married. Honestly, being afraid of women experiencing independence and living alone, resulting in them never wanting to get married, is telling me everything that I need to know. First of all, get your standards out the gutter, and you won't really have to worry about that. I don't think that you living alone is going to make you never ever want to get married. I mean, it may happen to some in a few cases, but for me, I believe it had the opposite effect. I used to be so bitter at the thought of getting married, because I was like, you mean to tell me that I've spent my entire life in a shared bedroom and obviously taking care of my siblings and yada yada, and I'm gonna go from the shared bed to a shared bed again when I get married? It kind of felt distasteful. I kind of felt disgusted. I know shared bed to shared bed sounds like minor, like random. It's not the reason I moved out, but that was the thought that I had, and I was like, that's not fair. Like, I even remember saying I wanted to have separate bedrooms if I ever got married. Little did I know, I was just an annoyed, angry little girl who never got to experience her own little phase, her own little space. And that's all I really wanted. And being able to experience this, I feel like, is not just space, it's not just freedom, but I have gone through several transitions. I've grown. I've had a lot of character development. I honestly healed a lot of that bitterness. So if I didn't take this step, I probably still wouldn't want to get married. So I don't think that is something people should spread. Another thought that crosses every Muslim girl's mind is seeing marriage as an answer to your problems or a freedom. And honestly, you can't lie. It crosses every girl's mind. Like, some days you're living at home, you're stressed out, you're annoyed, and you're like, oh, I can't wait to get married. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Marriage should not be the answer to your problems. I'm sorry to break it to you, but there's a lot of work that people have to go through before two humans come together. No one's coming to save you. And I came to terms with that very quickly. And honestly, those thoughts were wiped away as quickly as they came, because I always knew I had a fear of rushing into marriage or settling. Wanting some sort of freedom or routine or space in exchange of marriage is honestly not enough for me. And it honestly shouldn't be your reason for wanting to get married. And I always knew I wanted to be self-sufficient. That was something I always knew very early on. I think even my first year of college, like, I was like, I'm gonna lock in, I'm gonna run my business. At the time, I wanted to be self-sufficient because I didn't want to graduate and get a 9 to 5. So I always knew early on that I wanted to have that handled. There's obviously this new TikTok wave of women saying to have your own, to have a security blanket, because if anything goes left, you need to be able to exit. I personally, that's not the reason why I desire to be self-sufficient, wanting to have an exit or security blanket, although that's a valid reason, and I think every woman should have their own, regardless. I mean, hello, Khadijah. But for me, my drive was being able to take care of myself. I mean, everyone, let's just be honest. You're happier when you're financially secure. Money does buy happiness. Don't lie. Don't lie. Don't lie. That's one. Two, again, wanting to build generational wealth, wanting to change the lives of myself and my families. I want to travel the world with my family. I want to take my siblings on shopping sprees. I want to take my mom to a mall in Dubai. Like, hello. And that means grinding and having my own. So I feel like I was like 10 years ahead of the girls on TikTok who are like, make sure you have your own money. Don't get trapped in a marriage. Da, 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 da. I think that should be the case regardless. I think everyone should be able to take care of themselves or strive to want to take care of themselves regardless, especially in this economy, babes. Moving out has not shut me off to wanting to get married one day. If anything, it has opened me up to it. It has replaced that bitterness with a lot more joy and a better version of myself who is just honestly, I feel like this is all I ever wanted, a space to call mine. So what can I really complain about? What can I really complain about? What I can only say alhamdulillah. It's a reminder of an answered dua. So whenever I do have more duas, because honestly, do we ever run out of duas? It's like a reminder that like it's possible. If this could happen and I had no idea what I was doing and I somehow made it here, then anything is possible, okay? It doesn't matter how long you ask or pray for it. It's gonna happen the way that Allah wills for you. Because honestly, I've been praying for like a big family home since I was like 16. No, like 14 maybe. And I felt like I was never getting an answer to my du'as. I feel like I've been asking for this for all my life. It just happened to be this way. But like some way, somehow it happens. When Allah's time is right, and I do believe his timing is the best. But if anything, yeah, it hasn't shut me off to getting married. It's allowed me to really know who I am and to also know what I want in a future partner and to also want to be a healthy partner physically and mentally. Because I didn't wait for someone to come and save me or like be the reason why I get to finally move out or like not move out because it never was me wanting to move out, but like having a space, having a home. I get to be a girl in my 20s with a girl apartment. Unbeatable. Unbeatable. I'm gonna tag it if I can find it. I'm not scrolling too much if I can't find it. But Clark mentioned a good point and she talks about a white sofa era.
My life is exactly the way that I want it to be and everything in it is curated to my liking. And beyond even the physical of the white couch, the idea of being able to make a design choice like that in my house or have certain things around that are sensitive or like having my TV on an easel, it's because I know exactly what's going to happen in my life and I don't have any other outside factors that are influencing the decisions I make for myself.
Having a white sofa era, this is an unbeatable time in my life. An unbeatable time. I get to have a white sofa. I don't have to worry about children ruining that sofa. I don't have to worry about a man ruining that sofa. I get to have a white sofa era. I get to up and book flights to Japan when I feel like it. I can just be with the wind and make decisions on the fly. This is an unbeatable time, an unforgettable time. And it's created a happier version of me now. And it's also created, inshallah, a happier version of me 20, 30 years from now who gets to look back when this time is no more. When, let's say, I do have a family to take care of and other things to worry about, when this time is no more, I get to appreciate that I actually got to experience it. I'm not going from a shared bed with my siblings to a boom, just starting a life with someone else. I actually get to breathe and find out who I am and design a girl apartment that's just for me. Unbeatable. And I honestly think it's healed a lot. I feel like I've learned so much about myself. I feel like I've seen new versions of myself. I feel like I've realized how expressive I am. I've realized the things that I like, the things that I don't like. I've fallen in love with self-improvement. There's so much. Okay, I'm going off topic. I'm getting passionate. I get to buy a tub of acai. A tub of acai and just eat acai for like a whole summer. Tell me how many people can do that. I can have grill dinner. Okay, like, come on. These are the moments that you really have to cherish because there are generations and generations and generations of women who can only dream of being able to experience this level of freedom. So, alhamdulillah. I don't think people should say that if you move out and if you live alone and you're never going to get married. I think it's PR. It's PR from people who don't want women to experience that level of independence and freedom and to also raise their standards. But also raise your standards, have standards. First of all, the only standards I do have are the ones that I can deliver. Why would I ever lower my standards when I've already given myself the life I desire? People have to get a grip, okay? If anything, moving out, alhamdulillah, has created a better version of me, a person who can actually be someone's partner one day, who isn't bitter, who actually takes time to study and practice her religion, who actually has routine and has things going for herself. If anything, I prefer that. Anyways, it isn't just materialism or gold digging. Don't get me wrong, life is very temporary, but it's also very sunnah to enjoy life. I want to strive for greatness. I want to work towards goals and increase in this life and in afterlife. It is okay to want better in life. I feel like a lot of time people think being a Muslim, being miskeen means struggling or not having the most luxurious things, which when have I ever been obsessed with luxury? Babes, I mean half the time people say I just like I'm homeless. That's I don't want to insult anyone, but like that's what I do get called that. What I'm saying is wanting more out of life isn't haram. So please get rid of it. Get rid of that mindset. And one more thing about the marriage talk, I did see this TikTok about delayed marriage, and I don't even like to say that word, delayed marriage, because in your book, what is delayed? What exactly is delayed? You see a girl in her 20s, mid 20s, and you think, girl, relax. I need to relax. I got a microphone. I don't want to be in y'all. I don't want to be in y'all ears. I don't want to stress y'all out. Anyways, I did see this TikTok about delayed marriage, and I think points were made, and I actually did enjoy seeing it because when I think about if life turned out differently for me, which I rarely ever do because again, Allah's timing is the best. Whatever He wills, I accept. And surprisingly, because I've always been so headstrong on my goals, because I've always wanted to build generational wealth and be successful, I've never really thought about marriage like that. It's the one thing that I've put my full trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like it is seriously buried in the back of my mind and I just trust His timing. And it's crazy to me because I trust His timing, but I also put in zero effort. But I so wish I had that level of trust with Allah when it comes to business, when it comes to my dreams. Because when it comes to that is what I go crazy about. That is what I stress about. My accomplishments, my dreams, building my brand. That is what I go crazy about. Like at all. That is what I'm making dua about. All hours of the day and night. I think about like if I were in another life, like one of those girls that got married at like 18, 19, 21, even 23. First of all, I'd probably hate my partner because I don't even know who I was at that age. And it's crazy because at that age, I thought I knew it all. And now I'm like, girl, you knew nothing. I don't even know who I was. So it's like, imagine if I probably would have gotten divorced. I'm not afraid because I probably wouldn't even like myself. I didn't even know who I was. So it's like so crazy to me that people sort of drag older women for getting married, but I respect it. They don't drag them for getting married. They drag them for not getting married younger, but I respect it because each day and each year that passes by, I feel my brain expanding. I feel like I'm becoming a new person, which obviously no hate to young marriages. Like obviously that's the thing in Islam. And you get to grow together with your partner. What a blessing. But for me personally, I don't even think I knew what I wanted back then. So that would have been crazy work. This is a TikTok that I saw where she said, here's why you should change your perspective on delayed marriage. One of them being self-development before marriage. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. Marriage is not just about love. It's about responsibility, compromise, leadership, and sometimes Allah withholds marriage until one is truly prepared, as He should. Many people later realize that their delayed marriage saved them from a bad or unsuitable relationship. A delay in marriage often allows a person to work on their spirituality, character, financial stability, and emotional maturity. Did you hear that? Emotional maturity, divine timing. Allah knows what is best for each Allah knows what is best for each individual and arranges their affairs accordingly, as He should. And marriage is a huge responsibility. Marriage is a huge responsibility. I mean, hello, I'm not even ready to own a cat because of the responsibility. I feel like when I moved out, I fear all levels of responsibility. I don't even want to own a pet fish. I don't want to be responsible for anything that is, no. Aside of myself, I don't want to be responsible for anything. Protection from an unsuited match. Many people rush into marriage and suffer later due to incompatibility, toxicity, or abuse. And what seems like a delay is divine protection. This is also a time to strengthen your relationship with Allah. Instead of obsessing over the fact that you're not married or being like, oh, why me? When is it my turn? Focus on having that relationship with Allah on lock. So that any relationship that you get into in the future your relationship with Allah will be unshakable because you had all that free time. You had all that free time, not asking why not me, but you had all that free time to strengthen your relationship with Allah. Thank you very much. But yeah, these are valid points, and let's go ahead and wrap it up. Let's go ahead and dead that conversation about, oh, if you move out, you're never gonna get married. Have that for another day, because I'm not having it. On to the next point. We've covered reflections, misconceptions. Now let's talk about the realities. Let's talk about the struggles, the little knickknacks, and the things you experience living alone. First thing first I want to say is, once you live alone, once you move out, you have to get used to the fact that them bills are all yours, and they never stop. All the bills, you're in charge of it. No one else is. No one else is, and they're gonna be there at the first of the month every single time. Every single time. They're never gonna skip. They're never gonna skip a beat. There's no holiday. No. You should have multiple streams of income if you're going to move out, especially in this economy. That is a non-negotiable. You're gonna have to do that. You're gonna have to do that. And the reality is, I actually was applying to jobs, because what do you do when you graduate in college? You apply to jobs. That's what you do. I was speaking to recruiters. I was interviewing a lot when I was on campus. That I cannot deny. I had a lot of interviews, and I had high hopes for a lot of places. And I actually was really interviewing because I was using these jobs. I was trying to use these jobs to secure my apartment, because again, I didn't know I could just use my business. It was so difficult going through all these rounds of interviews. And one thing I hated, like for each interview, I sort of like morphed myself into a puppy that's excited to be part of this company. It felt so fake. And I hated it, but I knew it was necessary, because like that's the next step. That's what you do. You graduate college, or you're about to graduate college, you secure a job. But I did have a really hard time, and I did give up, and I just stuck to my business. And I told myself I'll make it work, because I have my business, I have makeup, I have so many things going for myself. Somehow I stopped makeup. I didn't want the whole world in my apartment. Girl, not everybody gotta be in here. No. Maybe if I had a salon, but I didn't take makeup that seriously. So I was like, And then boom, that was another stream gone, and then I just had my business. But you definitely need to have multiple streams of income before you move out. I don't care if your salary job is like $70K a year. You still need a side hustle. You need pocket change, even if that's posting a TikTok once a week. You need to know that there's other channels of revenue, so that if anything happens, you can rely on that. And when you have multiple things going on outside of 9 to 5, it feels good to know that you're striving towards something else. It keeps you motivating, knowing that your 9 to 5 is not your end game, because we all know at some point a 9 to 5 gets repetitive. It doesn't matter how much you love your job, because there actually are good jobs out there that you can enjoy. It is repetitive. Sitting in front of a screen 8 hours a day isn't even healthy. And at some point, you're going to desire that flexibility. You're going to desire that freedom. So striving towards other things, not just for your security, not just so you can pay your rent, but so that you have other things keeping you motivated, is what's going to keep you going in life. What were we talking about? You need to have multiple streams of income. I don't care how much your job pays. The bills will catch up to you. There are going to be unexpected expenses. Life gets a lot heavier when you have to stress about bills and survival. Do yourself a favor, and before you move out, have at least $10,000 saved up. I would say have your first 6 months of rent ready, maybe even pay in advance. I would say do that. I'm still disgusted by the fact that in corporate America, your paychecks are the same every single time. Like the input versus the output, it's just not fair. And this is why I understand why everyone wants to be a content creator, as they should, because your effort does have reward, and that reward is literally unlimited, and the opportunity is unlimited, and you just have to be yourself and show up, and you'd be amazed at what you can accomplish. So just do that. That's what I'll add. Next, I want to talk about the never-ending cycle. So there's this movie title of a movie that I've never watched, but it's called Everything Everywhere All at Once. That is you. That's you when you live alone. You have to be everything everywhere all at once. You take care of every single thing. Them dishes, if you leave them, they're gonna be there when you get back home. If you don't clean up your mess or do your laundry, they're gonna be there when you get back home. You have to take care of it all. You have to do the meal prep. You have to clean up, and you have to do it over and over again. Unfortunately, it never ends. My advice is to just stay on top of it. I know it sounds like, just do it. That's literally it. That means having a Sunday deep clean every single Sunday. That means for me, washing your dishes multiple times a day. Don't allow it to get crowded. That means I like to leave myself surprises, because like I live alone, but it's like still a surprise, because let's say I randomly wake up at like 4, 5, 6 a.m., I'll clean up and then I'll go out for the day and I'll come back home and I'm like, oh, my place has been deep cleaned. And guess what? Not only did I make myself a surprise, but it's also unaffected because there was no one there to change it or make a mess. So I know, it's like little surprises for myself. Also, when I'm headed out to hang out with friends, maybe get brunch, whatever. Let's say I did glam. Let's say I did makeup. I like to get ready very early, which is something I've noticed change since I moved out. I'm a very, very overly punctual person, and I do love that. I love being ready an hour early for something. I love going out to something super early and taking my time to find street parking. But I like to get ready super early so I can reorganize my makeup brushes, clean up my makeup counter, put away all of my clothes that I was trying on, wash some dishes, which is why I love dishwashing gloves. Like, they're not raved about enough because not only do they protect you from dry hands, but it's like it makes me want to wash dishes more. If I'm fully dressed about to head out the door, I can wash a dish. I can wash a dish because them dishwashing gloves is there. I'm not affecting anything. I'm fine. Yeah, before I head out the door, I'll like clean up here and there, wash my dishes, make my home proper, like leave myself a surprise before I get back home. Just stay on top of it. You have to be obsessive for it to work, or else it's gonna get overwhelming. And when it does get overwhelming, I would love to remind myself that this is all an act of worship. This is all a form of ibadah. Taking care of my body, taking care of my space, making sure to prioritize cleanliness. These are all forms of worship. Making sure I'm praying in a clean space. That means taking care of my body that He blessed me with, prioritizing health, meal prepping, cooking for myself instead of dining out every single day. When it all gets tiring and you think about the fact that you're doing it all by yourself and you're paying all your bills and it just never ends. It's tough now, but it's like, at least I get to do this. At least I get to have food to cook. At least I get to have dishes to clean. At least I get to have a kitchen to use. It really is a lot of just reframing your mindset. And I can't say it doesn't get overwhelming because it does. But again, you have to remind yourself of the blessings, the double blessings, because again, a form of ibadah, taking care of the blessings that Allah has provided you. So I'm also getting the blessings here and then points for the afterlife. Oh, stop playing. But that is what I like to call the never-ending cycle. Everything, everywhere, all at once, which points up to me. It's honestly, I can kind of say easier for me because I've always been an obsessive cleaner, and I think I really noticed this habit in college because whenever I'd have a big thing coming up, big project, big exam, whatever was happening, before I could even think about starting an outline, creating a draft, the first thing I'd have to do is obsessively clean my entire dorm space. And I know my roommates saw this all the time. Like, I would have to vacuum every single corner. I'd be in my rug picking out things. I would make my entire bed, wipe every surface, wipe every counter. Deep cleaning for me is quite literally a therapy. It keeps me mentally sane. And I would have to do that before every single exam, even finals. Like, I would have to do that before I could start anything because a deep clean is like a mental reset for me. And I have noticed that habit follow me into now, into adulthood, into living alone. If I have something big, something stressful happening, before I can think about my responsibilities and how I'm going to handle whatever's stressing me out, I'm going deep clean. I'm going deep clean. I'm just going to turn off my brain and do what I do best. It's like second nature to me. The unhealthy part of it is that it does genuinely affect me. It doesn't even have to be filth. It can just be disorganization. It does genuinely affect me. It's like if my closet's out of order, I feel more irritable. But honestly, it's a good illness to have. Okay? It makes my world go round. Clean floors make me happy. A clean space makes me happy. Again, it is taking care of the blessings that Allah has provided you with because at least you have dishes to wash. Now, before we get to the Q&A, I'm just going to make loneliness an entire section of its own because I do get questions about that a lot. I think in the last video too, a lot of people fear loneliness when they move out. I really think it depends on your mindset. For those who haven't already moved out, depends on your mindset of looking into moving out. And for those who have moved out, it depends on your habits. I do kind of have the advantage already knowing that I thrive in solitude, just being in my own thoughts, not having any sort of outside circumstances. It just works better for me. I am the type of person that makes decisions on the fly. I don't really know how to ask for opinions. When I am deciding something, I'm just like, and I'm proud that I do that because I always say the greatest strategy, honey, girl. I think I've been talking for too long. I always say the greatest tragedy. I always say the greatest tragedy a woman will ever face is not trusting her gut. Anytime something has gone wrong in a girl's life, bet you didn't trust her gut. And mind you, you're lucky. You're lucky to have that instinct, so use it. Put it to work. But anyways, where was I going with this? I just yeah. So it's like I'm not even used to like counseling other people about no outside thoughts, just going. But in terms of loneliness, it really depends on how much effort you are putting in to maintain human connection. Now, let's say it's clearly a lot more different for people that move like to a different state, a different city. That is hard. I don't think you should ask me about that because I've never done that. Like, imagine me moving to Japan. Of course, I'm gonna be lonely, and some places it's really hard to develop communities. I don't know. Don't ask. Don't. If that's the case, baby, click off this video right now. But for those who are nearby or like still in their same cities and just have their own space, which now that I think about it, probably is kind of rare, but it's actually not that rare. Living alone does not have to mean isolating yourself from everyone that you know. I see living alone as obviously developing routine, developing your character, increasing maturity, increasing discipline, because you gotta be disciplined to be living alone. Everybody living alone don't look the same. Okay, respect it, because when you live alone, you really value the amount of work it takes to make a home a home. It takes a lot of work to do that while maintaining your life, maintaining an income. You will never question wives, mothers, stay-at-home moms, and the work they do, because I'm tired and I don't even got kids to feed. Okay. For me, I see my home as a safe haven, quiet time. I see it as a place to sleep. That's not to say that I don't be in this. I be in here, okay? I make use of that rent. I have my rot days. I do be in here, but I don't trap myself in here. I love to go on walks, 2-3 hour walk. I show up. I love hanging out with my friends. I love hosting people. I had them girls in here before I even had a sofa, sitting on the floor, sitting on a makeup chair. I love having people over. I'm obsessed with making sure my guests are comfortable, make sure they have their thing, like their trees. So it's like you can live alone, but that doesn't mean everything has to be alone. That doesn't mean cutting any ties. That doesn't mean not putting yourself out there. That doesn't mean not working at coffee shops, which I have started picking up on that lately, but like I do be in my apartment. But I don't struggle with loneliness, so it's fine by me. I think when I first moved in, I made my neighbors samosas, knocked on their doors, handed out samosas. You can make the most of whatever community you do have. One, of course, maintaining family ties, but also making the most of what you have, speaking to your neighbors. One, don't sever family ties, which a lot of times moving out is a tough topic, but do what you can to keep it on lock. And two, do not see your home as something that traps you from the rest of the world. You're literally just changing environments. You should not change the habits or the level of friendships that you had when you lived somewhere else versus when you move out. My living alone doesn't feel lonely because it's like a timeout from all this overstimulation of the world. I'm spending my days outside talking to people, doing this, doing that. And it's like when I walk in my space, it's like I get to relax. I get to read a book. I get to cook dinner. You can make it so fun. You can have friends over too. I don't want to say just don't, because again, for those of you who have upped and moved to a different city, a different state, like different country, obviously you're going to maintain your familial and friendship ties via FaceTime or whenever they visit, but you're gonna have to put in the work and meet some people in your city. You really can make the most of what you have, and it really is just effort. And I know today it's so much harder because people are crazy. There's social media. People are always looking for a reason to have a story time. It's impossible, but again, nothing is impossible with the right amount of dua and conviction. So I really hope you find that helpful. But in my, not each hat applying the gloss, in my experience, I haven't felt loneliness. When you live alone, it is very easy to get consumed by your own thoughts. It is very easy to get consumed by your own stress, but I leave that between me and Allah, and I like to have conversations with Him. So am I really ever lonely? So become a social butterfly if you're going to live alone. You're just going to have to. And then, of course, still maintain your relationships that you already do have.
I think the easiest way to know if someone is an eldest daughter is if they love alone time. Like for me, I never got that growing up. I grew up in chaos. The eldest daughter of 4 siblings. And because you're the oldest, your parents really care about everything you do. How your grades are, where you're going, who you're sleeping over with, who your friends are, what you're doing 24/7 is supervised. So now as an adult, I crave and appreciate alone time so much. Like it is truly the epitome of freedom. Like growing up as an oldest daughter, you just don't have no freedom. And the second I truly experienced alone time, I was like, wow, this is why I was so angry growing up, like an angry child, because I literally just need to sit in silence and not talk to anyone for like 10 minutes and then I'm good. If you're the oldest daughter, let me know if you relate.
And most importantly, I forgot to say this, embrace the solitude because it doesn't last forever. The beautiful thing about life is that nothing lasts forever. And the sad thing about life is that nothing lasts forever. This time, for all the girls who have moved out or are planning on living alone, this time is such a special time. So I don't want to spend it wishing I wasn't alone. I mean, baby, I do. I'm glad I am. Or wishing I was married or wishing this or wishing that. I just got here. I mean, we're 3 years in, but I just got here. Someday, if Allah wills, I'm gonna be a part of my own family one day, and I'm never gonna have this freedom and solitude. Oh, I'm definitely gonna have my freedom, child. But like, I'm never gonna have this level of solitude or girl apartment again. So why not make the most of it? Every part of your life, you need to enjoy it because nothing lasts forever. It truly doesn't. Enjoy the solitude while it lasts. Do what you can to not allow yourself to get lonely. And remember that your space is a safe haven. It's a place that you can walk into and just feel relieved after a day of being in the outside world. And I hope that really answers your question. Now let's move on to the other question. Said, what's the best part about living alone? I feel like there's so many moving parts. I mean, I know I just talked about the loneliness question, but I'm again going to say just knowing that I have a safe haven to come back to at the end of every single day, it really is a breath of fresh air. And I went the extra mile to really make my place really comfortable and really cozy, kind of addicting. Like, my friends literally used to be addicted to my bed because I used to have sleepovers when I first moved out. But like, I've gone the extra mile to make sure that the comfort here is next level. And it's really nice knowing that everything's a bit of me. Everything's a bit of me. Like, it's my signature. It's my style. Well, I'm not going to say style because my apartment has gone through a lot of changes and I'm kind of stressed out because my apartment is giving too beige and I don't like that. I like color. I like life. But because I went from a green sofa to a beige sofa, which just only comes in 2 colors, I love the comfort of this sofa. I've been struggling to bring art, vibrance, and colors back to my apartment, which there are in other areas, but this area where I like to film, it's just too beige. I need some art. I need some work. I need some work. And I'm also like a streetwear girl. Like, this is not me, yeah, guys. Don't. I'm not a part of the beige brigade. This is not me. I'm not part of that. I like life. I like vibes. I like colors. I like exotic flowers. I like steel. I like a lot of things. Bamboo. But we'll get there. My apartment has gone through changes. That is what I love about living alone. Everything's a bit of me. It's a bit of me, and it's a safe haven. It's a bit of me. Unexpected things you had to learn quickly. Surprisingly, grocery shopping. I know this sounds crazy because it's like, obviously, I've been grocery shopping my whole life. I used to go with my mom, but it's like different when it's like, you would be surprised at how much of a mental load it is to grocery shop because it's like she just knows. And I always say she has like a black market because not only does she just know, but she also know how to get. She knows how to get things that you can't even find on Google, and it stresses me out. But surprisingly, I had to pick up on grocery shopping, and I learned very quickly that you cannot get your groceries from everywhere. You cannot get your groceries from everywhere, and you can't get everything from one store. Oh my gosh, these stores will play you. You would think, oh, you're spending your money there. They're gonna respect you. They're gonna want to give you the best products. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. Maybe I just went to Sprouts the other day, and this is what my salmon looked like the same day that I bought it. Mind you, everything was front facing, so I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see what was going on with the salmon. They do not care. You have to put your foot down. You have to fight for your life, even to grocery shop. And surprisingly, that's something I had to learn very quickly. I had to learn very quickly that you can't get everything from one store. You have to have your store for everything. Like Indian market, I'm getting my seasonings, my black pepper, my turmeric, my everything, my cayenne pepper. I'm getting it from the Indian market. My chai, I'm not making chai from scratch. I probably will one day, but they have this bomb box chai. I'm getting it from there. My amla oil, I'm getting it from there. My charcoal, I'm getting it from there. When it comes to my produce, I prefer farmer's market. Sometimes that's Sprouts. Really depends on what exactly I'm getting. Snacks, easy meals, Trader Joe's. My canned goods, my tomato paste, Aldi's. You really gotta know what's for what, like what's for what. what's for what. And then obviously the Asian market for everything else that I can't find. But thankfully, we.com exists. And you know what? I'm waiting for the day to sponsor me because I have loved that app for, has been like 5 years now. No, 4 years, almost 5 years. But I've been using it a while. That app and me go like this. All the things that I need, that app got it. That app got it. But yeah, surprisingly, I know I'm rambling. That is something I did have to learn. Grocery shopping is a skill. It's yeah. Yeah. What's your routine like now compared to when you lived at home? So obviously, like, other things have changed too, like what I do. Like, it's not like I'm doing school and stuff like that. My routine, I would say, is just a lot sharper, and it's all about me. So it's still pretty busy, of course. I feel like I always have a never-ending to-do list. Taking care of my home, taking care of my business. That's about it. What advice would you give your younger self before moving out? I would definitely say save up the first 6 months of rent. I've been here 3 years, so I don't know if it would have made that much of a difference. I probably would have felt more secure and would have been nice to have had that period, just not really having to think about it. I would say to not shut off other streams of income, because I did just shut off everything and just rely on my business, which wasn't really smart, because whatever you make in business, you want to put it back into the business. So I would have prioritized YouTube a lot more. I would prioritize TikTok a lot more. And I can't say I wouldn't have stopped makeup, because I'm still back and forth about that. But I wasn't about to have like all these people in my apartment taking makeup clients. And I fell out of love with it. So that's what I would say. Honestly, to my 4-year-old self, I would say lock in, invest in real estate. Don't be drinking that milk. Don't be eating that chitchat, because I know I was eating that chitchat at 4 years old. Go invest in some stock. Lock in. Over here still wearing diapers. For what? Would you recommend living alone to other eldest daughters? I would 100% recommend this, because you will not know yourself if you are constantly helping and not stressing others. But you will not know yourself if your world revolves around others. And it is not a bad thing to care about your family and friends. It's not a bad thing at all. But as I mentioned earlier, living alone has allowed me to see versions of myself that I probably never would have seen otherwise. I've noticed how expressive I am. I've noticed how geeked I get over my favorite shows. Just little things that just make me the girl that I am. And it's so beautiful to really see your character without being stressed or like a grumpy eldest daughter. And I'm not saying that that's all my life was. It definitely wasn't. Alhamdulillah, I have no complaints about the life that I had growing up, but it is a learning experience, and I've grown to see how much I love self-care and developing my knowledge and hosting. I'm obsessed with hosting. I don't even do it that often, but it's like I have a note section on my phone about like tips for hosting my future home or tips for hosting outside and things I want to have. Like, I want to make sure every single guest has slippers. I want to have heated floors. I want to have this. I want to have the best finger meals. I want to know like good meals to have when hosting. Like, these are things that I've learned that I've loved, and I wouldn't have been able to if I didn't have so much free time just being with myself or like learning myself. And that's really cool. And I think there's a lot of other eldest daughters out there who their lives genuinely revolve around their families or being co-parents, and they've never really experienced a life of their own. And I think they're deserving of that, because you're doing yourself a huge disservice without going through that growth period, especially if you go from, again, shared bed, taking care of your household, to boom, just getting married. You will never have a period where you get to find out who you are without living alone. Is what it is. What was the first thing you bought for your new place that made it feel like home? Immediately, my bed. My bed ate down. I ate down. Like, when I tell you the level of comfort that I have put in, and it's not even that much. I'm not even the kind of girl that got like 20,000 pillows and da, 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 da. No, I just ate down. And then I have my blanket that I use. This blanket of mine, I bought it from Didi's Discounts in 2021, and I took all of my naps in my on my dorm room floor with this blanket. I had like this white fur rug, and I also had this blanket that I love to sleep with. It's just like so soft, and I still use it to this day. I don't know, I can't describe it, but my bed, baby, my bed was certainly the first thing that really made this place feel like a home. And it's so funny because randomly my friends will bring up my bed and they'll be like, oh, because it's been a while, like I don't really do sleepovers anymore, but like they'll literally be like, oh, when I think about Katie's bed, the time, yeah, Yeah, I ate that up. What's your go-to solo dinner when you're too tired to cook? I can't say just one thing because I feel like it fluctuates. It really depends on like the groceries that I bought, and also I meal prep a lot. It's so crazy because it's like the lazy daughter growing up is now doing everything, the cooking, the cleaning. Like I meal prep a lot. Like if anything, my travels had threw it off, but like there was times where I wouldn't miss a single Sunday meal prep. There isn't really like a randomly put together dinner because things are always there. But I will say in terms of girl dinners, I love me a parfait bowl. Like I'm addicted to my little parfaits because I love that so delicious yogurt. So it's either that. My go-to like frozen meal is gonna be a salmon burger. I can't think of anything else. Yeah, I'm always gonna be eating either acai bowl, a salmon burger, or a parfait. In terms of like easy girl dinners, outside of that, I'm usually meal prepped, so I have something made and I'll just eat that. Methods for safety. I don't share much about where I live, and I also, again, that's why I stopped accepting makeup clients, because I remember this one time, it was like way early when I first moved out. There were some people I was fine with them because like I've known them for years. They've been coming to my actual home before I moved out, so I was fine with it. Like my manager, my friends, I was fine with them coming over to my apartment. But there was one girl that DM'd me her makeup, and it was like an urgent type of request. Like she DM'd me like the night before, and then we were chatting 6 a.m. that morning, and I was like, whatever. And she begged me to do her makeup, like, oh please, like I can't get anyone else. Da, da, da. And I was like, okay, like here's my address. And she didn't even show up. And I wasn't really bothered by it because like whatever. And again, I was falling out of love with makeup. I didn't like that I just had my address out there in the universe. And so it just didn't make sense for me to continue accepting clients. So that is one thing that I do. The rest I leave to Allah, child. But again, yeah, I don't really share where I live. How did you convince your parents? I don't think I really took time to convince them. I think the same way I was just figuring it out and I just fell into it. It just happened like that for them too, because I knew that I was set with my decision, and I knew it wasn't going to be this whole like argument, because like what am I arguing with people for? I honestly didn't really ask. I just informed them. I just informed them that I was moving out, and whenever like I was met with confusion or question or like what, da, 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 like literally call me a gaslighter, but I literally was like, yep, yeah. Like for example, like someone would be like, "Oh my gosh, like what do you mean you can move out?" Da, da, da. I'm like, "I know, it's so cool, right?" Like I would never match their energy. Unfortunately, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. So yeah. Sometimes you just have to like peep the vibe, snatch back the vibe, and rewrite the vibe. That's what I did, okay? Okay. And also, I do believe that deep down, they knew I was in my right. They knew I had a reason to move out. I think later on they understood, but it's like, obviously, everyone's gonna want their baby to be living with them. I think that if you really have valid reasons, that's what matters. And I don't even think I really expressed my reasons. Again, I just informed that I was moving out. I was certain that it would be everyone's benefit. I mean, me personally, I've always seen it as like, oh, at least I'm moving out. I'm like lessening the burden, one less thing you have to worry about, which I guess that's not the case. Your parents are always gonna worry. But for me, I knew the benefits definitely outweigh the cons, because they're just worried about you moving out for the wrong reasons. You worried about boys. You worried about, which anyways, we're not even in that time. We're not even in that era. I'm sorry. I don't know if that's what it was like in the old days, but nowadays, don't nobody care about that. Like no one cares about that. My relationship with Allah is 10 times better when I actually have a good environment. I'm not even just gonna say when I'm alone. When I actually have a good environment, I know that I'm a better Muslim. I know that I'm more on my goals. I'm less like angry, or like I just knew that the benefits were far greater, and I knew my intentions were pure. So I really didn't let any outside opinions affect me or assumptions, because like what that gotta do with me? What that gotta do with me? Where are those couches from? She's talking about my green Mario Bellinis. I miss those babies. So that was actually the first sofa that I bought when I first moved out, and I'll insert a picture. I didn't get rid of them. They're in the storage unit. I don't have them here anymore because they weren't comfy. Look at them more like chairs, not like sofas. And you could link them, but I didn't know how to do the linking at the bottom. And even when I did try to link them, they weren't, you couldn't take naps on them. And in real life, they are pretty short. I think because my apartment is small, I thought I needed small furniture. Like I didn't really know how to like map out the space that well. Now I've done an incredible job. Like I've upgraded. It took me 2 years though. I do believe in slow fashion as well as slow home design. I've really designed a good space comfort wise. Now it's just the colors, because baby, this beige stresses me out whenever I see it. Anyways, Marbellinis are from Alibaba.com, and yes, they look just like the original, and I do not believe in having to buy the real ones because $5,000 per couch is crazy work when we're all getting it from the same suppliers. Baby, I'm sorry. And yeah, I found these people on Alibaba that had them, and I was like, okay, well, let me get a pair. And it's honestly really easy. Like I just ask them for samples. Sometimes you'll get some pushback. Like I can link it if you want, but sometimes you'll get pushback. They'll be like, oh no, like because they know people that are ordering samples aren't always legit. Like they just want to get one piece without like they want to get one piece for cheap. They know the game, so like sometimes they're not really that open to samples. But there are hundreds and thousands of sellers on there all doing the same thing, so you can easily, if you really wanted to, get some pieces on there. But I'm glad I got it. That couch got some memories. It got some flavor. It got some style. It got some pizzazz. How did you shop? Plan out your rooms. My place feels so random. Honestly, I fear your place feeling random is a really good start because that's where I started too. And I am not a fan of like moving into somewhere and being furnished in T minus 2 weeks time because it's giving you went to Home Goods and bought the whole collection. It's giving you walked into IKEA and bought everything you like exactly how you saw it. Building a home is just like building your wardrobe. It takes time, it takes experience, it takes several identities. If you want a home full of character, it's not going to happen overnight. And surprisingly, where my apartment is today, a lot of things were hits. So my bed, my hijab rack, my bookshelves, those were hits. My bathroom decor, which 90% of that is actually from my dorm room. To this day, a lot of those were like immediate hits. Even my entry table, that was a hit too. Some things, again, like my sofa, gorgina, but comfort wise, someone described it perfectly. My apartment sort of looked like play furniture. It was all this empty space and tiny furniture because I was scared to like go big because everything was so small, but it wasn't. And I didn't realize just how much space I had in here. I don't know, but it was like my first time as well. I even love my trash can. That was a hit. That Simple Human, I ate down with that one, okay? And the thing is, I love that because if you buy cheap, you are buying expensive because you're gonna buy twice. If you buy quality things that you actually love and desire, it's gonna last you a lifetime. And two, if you wait to buy things that you genuinely love, at some point, it is all going to become cohesive. It is all gonna make sense because it's all you. A lot of the things in my apartment have flow because they're all my style. At some point, your home is a reflection of you. Your home is your character, sort of, kind of. So at some point, it all sort of makes sense. The feng shui is just gonna arrive. I hope I said that right. Sooner or later. But I like to look at a lot of decor inspo. Some of these pieces, they just like so happened. Like for example, I have two of these. This is the mini one, and my laptop is on the tall one. But I have these like I don't know what to call these, like these pillars, I'd say, because this all happened at different times. That's why everything looks beige in here because I literally had a green sofa paired with these beige pillars. So it didn't seem crazy. But now I got a beige sofa, beige curtains, I got beige pillars. So it's crazy. But not everything else is beige. It's just this corner, don't worry. Everything else like bamboo, silver, lights. It's fine. I got these from Australia, from an Australian brand. There are things that like I'm gonna like have forever. Like when I shop for my pieces, I think about like if I genuinely love them and if I would love them for my whole life, if I would love them for my future home. Like my hijab rack, I'm gonna keep that forever. It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't have to just fit with now or my apartment now. I want pieces that I can reuse for a lifetime and repurpose some way somehow, or even give to someone in a great way. Even me splurging on my OOTD mirror, it's meant to last a lifetime. So it was far more worth it actually buying that instead of buying a mini cheap mirror because one, I get a lot of use out of it, and two, I'm gonna keep it forever. Just don't get all your things from one place. Really diversify where you're finding things. Some things are gonna be online, some things are gonna be random stores, some things are gonna be random things that you find here and there. But as long as every item that you actually put in your home actually speaks to you, at some point it's gonna have flow because it's literally all you. And appreciate the slowness because again, it took months for me to get my bed, it took months for me to get my sofa, and then it took 2 years for me to really perfect my apartment. It took me 2 years to get my projector, and that's just because I don't like TVs. I always find them to be so difficult. I do not have time to be worried about cords and then you need this. It's too much. And I would just much rather have a projector. All I have to do is plug in the Fire Stick and that's it. Oh, hello. It's definitely like it never ends. You're not going to have it down your first year. And you'll certainly be much closer to your second year, because thankfully they're living here for such a long time. I was like, wait, this place, like, I actually can fill it up. And I just sat down, I took a sketchbook and I started plotting. And I actually had to just plot it around this sofa because I knew I wanted this sofa. Like, I saw this sofa. I just know I had a screenshot. I had been plotting on this sofa for the longest time. I think I spent a year fighting on, like, should I get the left side long or the right side long? Left side, right side, left side, right side, la 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 la. And even when I did order it, I tried to back out and I was like, no, please, can you please switch the long side? I actually want this because it has like a leg and it has like a short side. And honestly, it worked out just perfectly. I just like mapped out this entire layout and I was like, okay, well, this works. But that's because I actually knew my space now and like how much she could take, and I want to fill it up. So it does take time. Respect the time though. Respect the time. The same way capsule wardrobes takes time, so does building your home. You're not gonna regret taking your time, that's for sure. How did you manage finance? I didn't. Don't be like me. Don't be like me. I didn't. I again fell into this because even when I first moved out, I was like, dang, like when I had to pay that last month and security, I was like, y'all took everything. What do I do now? What do I do now? So I just literally just had to figure it out along the way. Trust in Allah, followed by conviction, followed by action, doing whatever it takes to make it work. And it teaches you a lot of discipline. It teaches you a lot of hustle. And we're honestly still learning. And what did you learn about yourself since moving out? I think I've already gone over this, but I've learned a lot about myself, things that I like, things that I don't like, wanting to be a host, loving self-care. Honestly, I've just learned who I am as a human being, and I think that's really cool. And it is an invaluable, irreplaceable time that I've gotten to experience. Also taught me to be a lot more grateful for everything else. And it's also taught me what's possible when you do big and scary things. When you do the big things, nothing will shake your confidence. And two, when you're able to do big things, when you're able to follow your word, do what you said you're going to do, in what world do you have time to care about outside opinions? Outside comments? In what world do you have to care about what people think when you're actually doing hard things, when you're actually challenging yourself and succeeding at the goals you set yourself to follow? This was a big and scary chapter to step into in life. I had no clue what I was doing and I had no clue what tomorrow had. But when you can do scary things in life, it truly is a way to build your self-confidence, and you literally have no room to care about what other people think or what other people have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed this chit chat. Moving out is quite the experience. It has its ups and downs. It has its learning experiences. It has a lot of things, honestly. And I still wouldn't trade it for the world. And I still am super thankful for this time and whatever it brings next and whatever challenge I'll face next. Girl, remember this the next time you stress, child. And I honestly can just say alhamdulillah. All the things I've experienced and all the lessons I've learned have shaped the person I need to be for the future that Allah has written for me. So I hope you guys really found this chat helpful. The version of me who had no clue what she was doing would really love to hear this from me. And honestly, if this is where you're at, you'll figure it out. You got this. Keep Allah at the front of everything that you're doing in life, and it'll work itself out in the end. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to see you all for the next one. Ciao.